Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the infinity scarf today. You're going to need a few things first. You're going to need some lace. You don't want something that's too thin or too thick because then it's not going to work out. This one's probably a little thick. It's two pieces that I sewed together, but it'll work out because the way that I'm going to tie it is going to work out better that way. Then you're going to need some fabric. You're going to want probably about 3 yards long, and this one in particular is about 5 inches thick, maybe 8. I don't remember exactly. But you're going to want to have that, your scissors, a sewing machine, and possibly some pins, especially if you're not sure totally what you're doing or you're a beginner sewer. So let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to make this scarf out of this wonderful flower pattern fabric. It's pretty light, and as you can see, it just kind of shakes really nice and easy. It's also very long, so it'll be great. We're going to make an infinity scarf here, and we're going to attach some lace closer towards the end to make it finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by taking these edges here, and we're going to be folding them over like this, and then folding them over again with about 1/4 of an inch or half an inch seam, and we're going to use a straight stitch. Okay, so we have the fabric in the machine, and the machine is threaded. We're doing it so that the pattern is face down so that we can make the seams come in on the back so that they're not seen as much when we're wearing the scarf. For the stitch I'm going to be using number 2 right here, so it'll be on the far left side instead of centered like number 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and do the straight stitch all the way down on both of the sides, and then we'll do the ends at the very last of sewing the scarf bit, and then I'll show you how we can add on the lace. Okay, so as you can see, I've sewn up the edges a little bit more, and you can see the white stitching through the fabric here. You can see that it's close to the edge, and what I've been doing throughout their whole stitching is I am folding it over with my hands. I don't like using pins because I think it just slows the process down and messes the process up a little bit more. With more difficult fabric, I would suggest using pins, and if you're just starting out, I would suggest using pins, but those of you who are more advanced don't need to, obviously. So what we've got is we're just folding over the side like this as we go along, and I'm doing probably about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm aligning it with the foot of my sewing machine to make sure that it kind of just goes in almost completely aligned with that little area where the needle is going through the foot. I'm doing that to make sure that it's centered and we have an even stitch that'll go through to the other side of the fabric, and it'll look more professional that way. And now we're at the end. We just have to sew up the ends so that when we put on the lace, that there's a clean edge to sew this onto. And we'll do this with the machine so that it'll stay better than if I was to hand stitch it, and it would look more professional that way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the seams, and I'm going to continue to do the 1/4 of an inch fold like you can see right here, and then I'm just going to put that in and continue to do the single stitch on the left side, and we'll move on to the next part, which is sewing the lace together so that it'll be thinner, or thicker, I mean. Okay, so now I've sewed up the scarf part, and I'm going to be stitching together by hand the lace. And I'm going to stitch it so that this line right here connects throughout the entire thing. But yeah, I'm going to be starting up at this end and stitching along this line all the way through. And also, I measured to see if this is going to fit here on the end. And as you can see, the fabric is still wider than the lace, even at the widest part of the lace. So that's fine. All we're going to do is we're going to just kind of go over and make little divots, and when we sew it, we'll make sure that it'll fit on the end of the lace. Okay, so I sewed the two pieces of lace together along that center line, as you can see, and I decided to do it with my sewing machine so so that it would go a little bit faster and look a little bit better, because the stitching myself with the button was not working out so well. So I have sewn the entire thing with my sewing machine, and then I went back over it again just to help enforce it and give it some more strength so that it doesn't pull on itself. Now we're going to take the alignment here with the scarf fabric and the lace fabric, and as you can see, they are two different sizes, as we talked about earlier. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take the edge like that and line it up there, and then we'll just kind of make little divots here. And this part you can do by yourself without needles, but again, for beginners or people who are less confident, or fabric that is a little bit harder to work with, go ahead and use needles to pin this together. What we're going to do is we're going to pin the lace on the under part of the fabric so that it looks cleaner and tighter and a little bit more professional. And the divots here will make the scarf bunch up. So if you want it to not be quite as bunched and to kind of just naturally flow out, you can do bigger ones. If you want it to be kind of really bushy and full, then you would do smaller ones and you would do more of them. It's just whatever you choose to do that you're comfortable with, but I'm going to go ahead and do this and sew it together and bunch it up, and then I'll show you what to do for the next side. Okay, so I have finished the scarf now. I have sewed together both ends of the lace to the fabric, and as you can see, I did little divots so that it wasn't totally bunched up. And this side, they're a little bit more even and spaced out than this side is. As you can see, I did them all on this side and then kind of got distracted and didn't finish it very well on this side. But the lace is on the back so that it looks more clean, and what I did is I used the elastic zigzag stitch, so it's a little bit wider and the stitches are a little bit smaller too. And that way it was wider to hold on the thicker parts of the lace and the fabric together, because these little circle parts in the flowers are pretty darn thick and it just doesn't hold very well if you don't have a tight enough stitch. So we've got that and it's all done. And then you've got your infinity scarf now, and as you can see, it's fairly long. So this will wrap around my neck probably 4, maybe 5 times, but I'm going to do it really loose, so it'll probably be more like 3 times. But anyways, here you go.